The first time my family forgot my birthday, I told myself it was an honest mistake. We were all adults with busy lives, after all. My sister Jenna had just had her second baby. My brother Mike was in the middle of a cross-country move. My parents were planning their retirement cruise. I understood being overlooked in the chaos. The second time it happened, I felt a twinge of hurt, but made excuses for them again. Mom had been dealing with some health issues, Dad was distracted with work, Jenna and Mike both had young families demanding their attention. Still, getting a belated happy birthday text from Mom 5 days late with a casual, "Sorry honey, things have been crazy," stung more than I wanted to admit. But the third year in a row, that was when I realized this wasn't about busy schedules or honest mistakes. It was about priorities, and I clearly wasn't one of theirs. My name is Ellie, and I've always been the reliable middle child, the peacemaker, the one who remembers everyone else's birthdays, anniversaries, and important milestones, the one who flies across the country for every family event without complaint, the one who sends thoughtful gifts and handwritten cards, the one who calls just to check in. I'm also the one who apparently isn't worth remembering. Last year, my 30th birthday came and went without a single acknowledgement from my family. No calls, no texts, not even a Facebook post. I spent the day alone in my apartment, refreshing my phone every few minutes, waiting for a notification that never came. A week later, my mother called as if nothing had happened. "How are you, sweetie? It's been a while since we caught up." "It has," I agreed, waiting to see if she would realize what she'd missed. She didn't. Instead, she launched into a 20-minute monologue about my sister's kids and my brother's new house. When she finally paused for breath, I said quietly, "My birthday was last Tuesday." There was a moment of silence followed by a gasp. "Oh, Ellie, I completely forgot. We've been so busy with your father's retirement party planning. You know how it is." "I'm so sorry, honey." I did know how it was. Dad's retirement party was still 3 months away, but they had been planning it for nearly a year. Weekly family Zoom calls to discuss the venue, the guest list, the menu, constant updates in the family group chat. My mother had even flown my sister and her family in for a weekend to help address invitations. "It's fine," I said, though it wasn't. "Don't worry about it." "We'll make it up to you next year," she promised. 31 is more fun than 30 anyway. But as my 31st birthday approached, I had a sinking feeling that history was about to repeat itself. And I was right. The day came and went. Nothing. No calls, no texts, not even a belated acknowledgement this time. It was as if my birthday simply didn't exist on their calendars. Meanwhile, the family group chat was blowing up with discussions about my nephew's upcoming 5th birthday party. They were renting a bouncy castle. Something inside me snapped. I was done making excuses for them. Done pretending it didn't hurt. Done being the forgotten child who still showed up for everyone else with a smile. If my family couldn't remember the one day of the year that was about me, then perhaps it was time for a little reminder they couldn't ignore. The idea came to me slowly at first, then all at once. A plan that was equal parts petty and perfect. I created a group message, something I rarely did since I was usually responding to others' initiatives rather than starting my own. I included my parents, my sister and her husband, my brother and his wife. "I have some big news to share," I wrote. "Really exciting stuff that I'd rather tell everyone in person. Can we do dinner at Giovanni's next Saturday at 7? My treat, it's important." The responses were immediate and enthusiastic. Everyone could make it. Everyone was curious. Everyone was suddenly very interested in what I had to say. My mother called within minutes. "Ellie, what's the news? Are you engaged? Did you get that promotion? Are you moving?" "I'd rather share it with everyone at dinner," I said, allowing a touch of excitement to color my voice. "It's a big deal, and I want to see everyone's faces when I tell you." This only intensified her curiosity, but she respected my wishes. For the next week, I received daily texts from various family members trying to pry hints out of me. My brother speculated that I had won the lottery. My sister wondered if I was pregnant. My father asked if I needed financial advice for whatever this big change was. It was the most attention I had received from my family in years. The restaurant I chose, Giovanni's, was significant for our family. It was where we had celebrated every major milestone for as long as I could remember. My parents' anniversaries, graduations, job promotions, engagements. It was also expensive, which added weight to my invitation. This wasn't a casual get-together, this was clearly an important announcement. On the day of the dinner, I made a reservation under my name for a large private room at the back of the restaurant. I arrived early, at 6:30, and spoke with the manager, Marco, who had known our family for years. "Special occasion tonight?" he asked, smiling. "You could say that," I replied. "It's a surprise for my family." I handed him an envelope with my credit card inside, along with specific instructions and a generous tip. He raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Whatever you need, Ellie. I'll take care of it." I set the table myself. At each place setting, I put a small gift bag. Inside each bag was a custom calendar marked with every family birthday, including mine, highlighted in red. Petty? Perhaps, but effective. In the center of the table, I placed a small cake I had ordered. Nothing fancy, just a simple chocolate cake with "Remember Me" written in blue frosting. Next to it, I propped up a handwritten note card. Then I left. I went to a small cafe across the street, ordered a cappuccino, and waited. From my vantage point by the window, I could see the entrance to Giovanni's. I watched as they arrived, one by one. My parents came first, right on time. My father in his standard business casual attire, my mother wearing the pearl necklace she saved for special occasions. They looked excited. My sister and her husband arrived next, followed closely by my brother and his wife. They all greeted each other with hugs and animated conversation outside the restaurant before heading in together. I could almost hear their speculations about my news. I imagined them being led to the private room, their confusion when they realized I wasn't there. I pictured them finding the note I had left, the one that simply said, "You forgot my birthday, again, for the 3rd year in a row. Maybe now you'll remember." I had included the date of my birthday at the bottom, just to drive the point home. As I sat in the cafe, I felt a complex mix of emotions. Part of me felt childish and petty. Another part felt righteous and validated. Mostly, I felt sad that it had come to this, that I had needed to orchestrate such an elaborate scheme just to make my family recognize how much they had hurt me. My phone lit up with a call from my mother. I declined it. Then came a call from my father, declined. My sister, declined. My brother, declined. Then the texts started pouring in. I turned off my notifications. According to my arrangement with Marco, my family would be served the dinner I had pre-ordered and prepaid for. They could stay and eat, or they could leave. Either way, the message had been delivered. I finished my cappuccino, paid my bill, and walked to my car. As I drove home, I felt lighter, somehow, as if I had finally set down a heavy burden I'd been carrying for years. I wasn't expecting this to fix everything. I wasn't even sure I wanted it to. But I had finally stood up for myself, finally made my feelings known in a way that couldn't be brushed aside with excuses or promises to do better next year. When I got home, I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls, 32 text messages, 3 voicemails. I didn't listen to the voicemails or read the texts. Instead, I sent a single message to the group chat. "Now you know how it feels to be forgotten. I hope the dinner was good. Consider it my gift to you since I never got one." Then I turned off my phone again, poured myself a glass of wine, and settled in for a quiet evening alone. Tomorrow would be soon enough to deal with the fallout. The next morning, I woke up feeling surprisingly peaceful. I made my coffee, ate my breakfast, and finally turned my phone back on, ready to face whatever came next. The missed calls had doubled overnight, the text messages had tripled. I steeled myself and began reading. "My mother, Ellie, please call me. We are so sorry. You're right, we have no excuse." My father, "I'm ashamed of myself, truly. Please pick up. We need to talk." My sister, "I feel horrible. I don't know how we let this happen 3 years in a row. Please forgive us." My brother, "That was the most effective guilt trip I've ever experienced." "Well played, sis. Also, I'm really sorry. You deserve better." More messages followed, all variations on the same theme. Apologies, excuses, pleas for forgiveness, assurances that they loved me and hadn't meant to hurt me. I wasn't ready to call anyone back yet. Instead, I sent another group message. "I'm not looking for apologies. I'm looking for change. When you consistently forget the one day of the year that's about me, while expecting me to remember and celebrate every single day that's about you, the message is clear: I matter less. I'm tired of pretending that doesn't hurt." The responses were immediate. My mother, "You're right. We've taken you for granted. You're always there for everyone else, and we've failed to be there for you. That changes now." My father, no excuses, we messed up repeatedly, tell us how to make this right. What followed was the most honest conversation our family had ever had, conducted entirely via text message. My siblings admitted they had come to expect my support without reciprocating. My parents acknowledged that they had always leaned on me as the strong one who didn't need attention the way my siblings seemed to. It was cathartic, but I wasn't naive enough to think one dramatic gesture and one honest conversation would fix years of established family dynamics. Real change would require sustained effort from all of us. 2 days later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, I found a delivery person holding the largest flower arrangement I had ever seen. The card read, "Happy very belated birthday from your horrified and repentant family. This is just the beginning of our apology." Later that day, packages began arriving, thoughtful gifts that showed they actually knew me, books by my favorite authors, artisanal teas I loved, a gift certificate for the pottery class I had mentioned wanting to take. Each came with a personal note of apology. My sister called, and this time I answered. "I've set calendar reminders for your birthday for the next 50 years, she said, only half joking, with multiple alerts starting a month in advance. "That seems excessive," I replied, but I was smiling. "We deserved what you did," she continued, her voice turning serious. "It was a wake-up call we needed. I've been thinking a lot about how I treat people, not just you. I take a lot for granted." It was the beginning of a longer conversation, one that continued when my brother called that evening and when my parents invited me to lunch the following weekend. At that lunch, my mother had tears in her eyes as she handed me a small velvet box. "We were saving this for Christmas," she said. "But that's exactly the problem, isn't it? Always putting you off for another occasion." Inside the box was a delicate gold necklace with 3 small birthstones, one for each of us children. "I wear one with your father's and my birthstones," she explained. "I should have gotten you this years ago." It was a lovely gesture, but what meant more were the words that followed. "We've been thinking about family therapy," my father said, surprising me. He had always been the type to dismiss therapy as paying someone to listen to you complain. "Just a few sessions," he continued, "to help us communicate better. Your mother and I have already started, and we think it would be good for all of us." I agreed, touched by the effort. It was more acknowledgement of a problem than I had ever expected. In the months that followed, things changed. Not overnight, and not perfectly, but noticeably. My birthday was added as an annual recurring event on the family shared calendar. My parents called more regularly, with conversations that focused on my life rather than just updates about my siblings. My sister and brother made more effort to include me in their families' lives, not just when they needed babysitting or help moving. The family therapy sessions were awkward at first, but ultimately productive. We addressed not just the forgotten birthdays, but the deeper patterns they represented. The therapist helped us see how roles established in childhood had calcified in adulthood, to everyone's detriment. As my next birthday approached, I wondered what would happen. Part of me still expected to be forgotten, to have all the recent changes prove temporary. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. But when the day came, my phone began buzzing at midnight with messages my family had coordinated to ensure they were the first to wish me happy birthday. In the morning, flowers arrived. My parents showed up at lunchtime to take me out. My siblings both called. That weekend, there was a proper celebration with everyone present, including a cake that didn't have a passive-aggressive message written on it. It wasn't perfect. There were still moments when old patterns emerged, when I felt taken for granted or overlooked, but there was also a new willingness on everyone's part to acknowledge these patterns and correct them. And there was a new willingness on my part to speak up rather than silently accumulate hurt. Looking back on that dramatic dinner at Giovanni's, I sometimes cringe at the theatricality of it. It wasn't the most mature approach. It certainly wasn't the most direct way to address the problem. But after years of being forgotten, perhaps what I needed was to be unforgettable. Just once. And in that, at least, I succeeded. My family will never forget the night they showed up for my big announcement, only to find I had made my point by not being there at all. My sister still refers to it as the Great Birthday Reckoning. My brother has jokingly threatened to use the same tactic if we ever forget his anniversary. More importantly, they will never again forget my birthday, and I will never again remain silent when I feel unseen or unvalued by the people who should value me most. Sometimes it takes a dramatic gesture to break unhealthy patterns and start new ones. Sometimes you have to disappear before people realize what they had in front of them all along. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the courage to say enough. I don't regret my birthday surprise. It wasn't just about a forgotten date on a calendar. It was about demanding the respect and consideration I had freely given others for years. It was about refusing to accept being an afterthought in the lives of people who were always my priority. The note I left on that table at Giovanni's said, "You forgot me, now I remember." What I meant was that I remembered my own worth, my own right to be celebrated, my own need to be seen. That remembering changed everything, not just for one birthday, but for all the days that followed.